Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mings, and I'm very excited to announce that the Fire Emblem 8 But Chat Creates My Unit stream is happening tomorrow. And for that occasion, I thought I'd share 5 simple tips that might help some of you guys in creating characters that won't just instantly die in the first chapter. Of course, there's no protecting your characters from me, but I've noticed a few occurring mistakes that a lot of people tend to make when creating their characters. This time around, there's an added complexity in that we're adding skills into the mix, but I'm not going to focus on that in this video. All I'm going to do is give you guys 5 general tips that might help your character not die if it actually gets chosen for the run. So let's begin. Tip number 1, don't neglect luck. Point by point, luck is maybe the weakest stat in Fire Emblem. 1 point of luck will not affect your character nearly as much as 1 point of strength or speed. For this reason, it can be very tempting to not put as many points in your character's luck growth, or even select a luck Bane. However, while luck may not be a super important stat, having almost none of it is detrimental. Most generic enemies in Fire Emblem usually have somewhere between 5 and 15% crit, so that means if your character's luck is in the single digits, you will always face a little bit of crit in each combat you're part of, and that means that it's just a matter of time before your character gets unlucky and dies. You don't need a lot of luck, but I would highly advise you to not make characters with a luck growth below 20%. As a general rule, you want to at least have a luck score of 10 or higher before your character promotes. If you are hell-bent on dumping your luck stat, at the very least select the Fire, Thunder, Wind, Dark, or Light affinity, as those will grant your character crit avoid when supported. And that also leads me into my next tip, which is... Tip number 2, utilize affinities. Your character's affinity can really change how useful they are. Each affinity will grant your character a bonus to 4 out of 6 different stats. It can change damage done, damage taken, hit, avoid, crit, and crit avoid. When making a character, I would strongly suggest picking an affinity which patches up your weak stats. If you decide to make a unit with a very low skill growth, for example, I would pick an affinity which boosts your hit rates, like Fire, Wind, Ice, Dark, or Anima. As I mentioned previously, if you plan to dump your luck stat, pick an affinity which boosts your character's crit avoid. Your affinities can completely change the viability of your character, so take a moment to ponder the bonuses when making a unit. Tip number 3, avoid lopsided growths. When deciding growth rates, I would highly recommend you to take a look at the caps of your class. If you have a strength cap of 23, for example, a strength growth of 80% will just result in you capping your character out early, meaning any additional gains will be wasted. While it is nice to cap stats and see them glow green, it also means you're not utilizing your growth rates very effectively, so keep this in mind when distributing your character's growth rates. Tip number 4, avoid making glass cannons. While everyone loves a dodgy, frail unit in Fire Emblem, making a unit with bad HP and low defenses is probably going to get you killed in this run, at least in the early game. In particular, selecting an HP or defense Bane for an unpromoted unit is akin to a death sentence. While it is fun to have a character that kills things, consider giving your unit an HP or a defense boon early on to prevent them from getting one-shot, because no matter how much potential a unit has, it won't matter if it gets killed in its joining chapter. Tip number 5, know your class's strengths and weaknesses. Building your entire character around your class is very important. Knowing what it's good and not so good at should dictate how you pick your boon and your bane, as well as your growth rates to complement it. A mercenary or a myrmidon, for example, benefits little from a speed boon, as the speed they get from their class is usually high enough to double. Instead, consider giving them a strength boon to help them land kills. A fighter, brigand, or pirate stuck with inaccurate axes really enjoys a skill boon to help them land hits, and they may not care that much about a resistance bane. A cavalier who will tank a lot of hits on the front line can really benefit from a luck or a defense boon to help them stay alive, whereas a Wyvern rider might really enjoy a resistance boon to help them avoid being sniped by magic. Knowing what your class can and cannot do is essential when building your character. So yeah, those are the 5 tips I have when it comes to creating your units in this Fire Emblem 8 run. In summary, they are 1. Don't neglect your luck, 2. Utilize your character's affinities, 3. Avoid making lopsided growth rates, 4. Avoid making glass cannons, and 5. Know your class's strengths and weaknesses. This stream will begin tomorrow at 9 PM European time, and it should be appearing on your screen in front of you right now, so you can go click on it and tell YouTube to remind you 30 minutes before it goes live. I'd also really appreciate if you give it a like. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, my name has been Mengs, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.